What's up, guys? It's Kyle with another episode of Unlocking Your Inner Strength with Amy, the life coach, Amy Fiedler, who is actually Devon's best friend, I would say. They've known each other since how old?
Oh my God, since eighth grade?
Eighth grade.
Yeah.
And when I first started dating Devon, I had heard of Amy. I don't think you guys were too
We
close
were
at that point, or you
we
were
were
still
close, yeah.
close,
That was right before we had like our
whatever,
falling out.
falling out, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd say, what, like, how many years ago now you guys really reconnected?
How old's Emma? She was in the womb.
Emma's 3, almost 4.
All right, 4 years ago.
4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been cool.
Yeah.
It's been cool. So Amy, guys, she coaches people all over the world.
All over the world.
All over the world. She's really great and brilliant at what she does. So this will be a really good opportunity for you guys to learn and for me to learn. So first thing I want to start with Amy. When did you start like the coaching career? When did you know that's what you wanted to do?
I didn't know that's what I wanted. If we're being real.
Okay.
I worked in fashion after college, and I always struggled with my mental health from a young age. And I wasn't happy doing fashion. And so I got to a point where I was like, I just want to be happy, and I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what I want to do for a living that's going to bring me a sense of purpose and joy. So I literally just sat down. I had the ability to do that. I was living with my parents at the time. Sat down and just started journaling every day, all of the things that I like to do and I'm interested in. What am I naturally good at? And the thing that kept coming up was that everybody comes to me for advice. Everybody tells me I give good advice. And then I was like, I don't want to go back to school. Like, who wants to? I wasn't a big fan of
Yeah,
school.
sure.
So how can I do this and help people without having to like go get another degree and be a licensed therapist? And I thought I actually had made up life coaching at the time because there weren't many life
Yeah.
coaches. So I Googled, realized that's a thing, and you could get a certification doing that. And so that's what I did. And from that point on, I've just kind of expanded and grown in different directions in that field.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So how long ago was that now?
That was 2013.
Okay. It's 10 years.
Yeah.
Coming up on a decade. And the journaling, I think that's key. I always tell people, and I find that that's where you get a lot of clarity. Is that, had you been journaling up to that point, or is it just like you just needed a clarity? So you,
I needed clarity, and I really didn't know how to get it. I wasn't journaling at that time, but I would say now that journaling is a staple for me. Like, that is the thing that I turn to every single day to get my thoughts out. If I'm activated or triggered by something, I write everything down. I find a pattern in my behavior. That's how I work through it. And then, like, once I get clarity, when I go to my own therapy sessions, I will talk about the things that I've already gotten clarity on. But I don't like anyone telling me. I don't like that at all. I don't like people telling me, here's where you struggle and this is, I want to reach that place on my own.
Smart.
And then have them kind of point out to me where I have a blind spot and how to get through it.
That's great. And I think you said another key thing there. You go to a therapist.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I always believe, as coaches, I always find it weird when coaches don't have a coach, because if you really believed in it, wouldn't you have the same thing?
Yeah, you
Like,
would have the same thing.
you'd
You
have
would practice
yeah.
what you preach and humble yourself.
Yeah.
Like, we're flawed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. So you're practicing what you teach. Let's go over your morning routine. What does that look like?
Yeah. I mean, great question, because I think a morning routine is important. It keeps you in a place where you can be regulated. Your nervous system can be regulated. And for me, I've been through a lot of trauma in my life. So to have a staple that I turn to every day, that keeps me feeling supported and safe, because I can rely on me. I can depend on these tools that I turn to. But every day I wake up, I do yin yoga, which is restorative yoga.
Mm-hmm.
It really helps calm my nervous system. Then I will sit down and I will journal. I will meditate. That's then where I go and make my coffee. I will kind of like sit and reflect in silence. And I do all of that before I get on my phone and I start doing any work. And then after that is when I, get on social media, do my posting, answer my emails. But that's basically like, the staple every morning.
And how long would you say that takes on a consistent basis?
I get up very early.
Yeah, to get fit it all in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm up by like 5:36
Okay.
every morning, and I would say it takes me probably 90 minutes to 2 hours to
Yeah.
get through that.
Okay.
And then I get
That's
into
great.
my day.
It's important. Giving the first hour or two to yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's super important.
Especially if you give all day. Like I'm a big
Yes.
strong proponent of input and output energy wise. So I help people all day. That's a lot of output.
Sure.
And so if I'm going to try to give and I haven't given to me before giving to others, I mean, it's the whole fill your cup first thing.
Yeah.
But for me, then I input periodically through the day based on how many people I'm speaking to. And like when I explain this to clients, they're like, I never thought of that at all. Phil's learning that now too.
Yeah.
Because he didn't work that way before. He was go, 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 go.
So Devon was telling me, yeah.
Yeah. And now he's working from home and he has to slow down. And so to kind of have a cadence in your day of I have a 90-minute session with a client. When I'm done with that client, that's when I'm going to go sit down and I'm going to eat lunch or I'm going to journal or I'm going to do something to give back. So I'm replenished to give again.
Sure. It's fantastic. Self-awareness. And I think that's what you're really trying to help others with, right? It's
Yeah,
connecting
exactly.
the dots to self-awareness. So 5:30 roughly you get up. What time you consistently going to bed?
9.
Okay, so you're getting good amount of
I'm
sleep.
in bed by 9.
That's good though. That's
be
solid.
honest.
That's really good.
I'm not always asleep by 9.
Yeah.
I try.
Probably sleeping before 10 now.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's key.
If I am wide awake and not in my bed by 9:30, 10, I start to get anxious.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm getting up. I don't care if
regardless.
it's a Saturday or Sunday. I'm getting up early
Yeah.
regardless.
That's a key thing I think that people miss with routines is like Charles Poliquin, this famous strength coach who passed a few years ago, really about the hormones, and I learned a lot from him. But he would always talk about the most consistent factor was sleep, and therefore productivity was a consistent wake-up time.
Yeah.
That's what they found through their studies. It wasn't even necessarily something with the morning routine. It was a consistent wake-up time.
Really?
Just keep hitting that. Because it's going to control what you do at night, too, like you said. Right, yeah, you can stay out till midnight.
Yeah, but I get 2 hours extra every day.
Yeah.
And everybody else,
But it's great.
roll out of bed at 8, 9 o'clock and
It's
then
great.
are up until 11, 12.
Yeah.
Are like, I can't get everything done. I go, I don't get you. How do you not?
Mismanagement of energy and focus and time.
Time.
huge.
People
But
don't know how to manage their
Well,
time.
that's exactly it. But as an entrepreneur, I found that out when I stopped teaching to run the gym full time. I was like, man, I'm going to have 8 hours more a day where I could just work. That would work throughout my prep and my lunch. And quickly, and that was before kids, that 8 hours was 4 hours, right? Like, so there was always these things coming up and then not getting distracted and having to really manage yourself. Like, a lot of people want to go into business for themselves or be an entrepreneur, but they don't, if you can't get that right, because if you have all this freedom now, right? But you got to be more disciplined, I feel, right?
Well, yeah, that's also the people who had to transition from going to an office every day and working at home.
Yeah.
It's like a free-for-all. They're like, I don't know what to do with myself, and they short circuit because
Yeah.
they're like, there's laundry, there's the kitchen, there's the TV.
Mixing of environments, yeah.
And everybody's different, but for me, I can sit and focus for a set amount of time, and I do something similar to what I know you do. Is I time my
It's huge.
activities.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm a space cadet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh man, I have a million things to do. But if I set a timer, 15 to 20-minute intervals, especially when I'm not with a client, then I get so much more done.
Yeah.
And then I'll get up and I'll do laundry and I'll do this.
Huge.
And I just
Work.
knock
Yeah.
everything out. So when people are like, how are you going to do all this when you have kids? I'm like, watch me.
Yeah.
This is
That's
easy.
the
I'll run a
greatest, yeah,
shift.
yeah. Yeah. And that always cracked me up. I mean, the time piece is critical, time and everything you do. But when everybody would tell us, hey, same day, wait till you have kids and you see it. It's like,
No, that's it. I
yeah,
don't
it's a good-
understand people who say
bizarre-
they don't have time because I
Yeah.
always have time.
yeah, you have to be in command of it.
But people who don't understand that think you're not doing a lot with your day.
Yeah.
Like I live a slow, purposeful life, but it's a full life
Yeah.
and it's a busy life. And I feel accomplished every day. And
That's great.
and so when people, like I remember when Phil and I first moved in together, he was like, you don't do a lot. And I was like, you don't understand how much I'm getting done.
It's
All
efficiency.
you see is that I'm sitting at my desk and I slowly move to the kitchen and I make myself a lunch and I eat with intention and then I come back. You're boom, 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 like a ping pong ball. And that doesn't mean you're getting a lot accomplished.
Yeah.
And now he's like realizing, oh, okay, if I slow down, I actually feel better and I get more done and my work is better.
Yeah. Not being rushed. Right. Not being rushed. That's one of my favorite. We put it on our Christmas card is the Gandhi quote, there's more to life than increasing the speed of it, than simply increasing the speed of it. But that's,
It's true. If you slow down and you turn inward, like I said this yesterday to him, I said, at the times I make the most money in my business are the times where I am heavily focused on me and working out and all of these things. If I'm eating right, if I'm exercising,
Huge.
if I'm doing all of those things, and I'm not sitting there hyper fixated on where's the next client coming from or how many sales did I make on this course, then it's like they just come in
comes.
with ease and you're kind of like, I'm not even really paying attention, you know? But it's because you're taking, like, that's the whole energy
It is.
component that people
Yeah.
miss.
Yeah. I'm fascinated by that stuff. Most people, they experience it, but they don't know it's a true thing that you could actually consciously and subconsciously tap into when you go live with intention.
Yeah.
Right, you catch the neediness and all that, and I do the same thing. Right, catch myself and be like, what you do? It's a bad energy.
Yeah, it
It's
ebbs and flows. I feel like,
yeah,
because I think people will commonly be like, well, if you know that works, then why do you not do it all the time? And it's like, because I'm a human being.
that's exactly it. Yeah, every time I visualize for a period of time, stuff starts happening.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of lag time, and then I'll stop for 2 weeks. Like, why don't I do that again? I can go back and do it.
No, I know. And then it's a reminder. It's amnesia. You just kind
Yeah.
of forget.
Yeah.
And then you do it and it reinforces it and it's great.
Yeah, that's cool. Talk about, Amy, if you had because I'm sure this is all about, applies to your coaching as well, but your philosophy of life.
That's such a
I know it's a broad question. But like, I'm sure you've thought about something along those lines. Like, what's the purpose of life? Or like, why are we here? What are we to achieve or do while we're here?
You know what? I mean, I feel like this will answer the question, but I'm going to stray from it for a second because, like, obviously, I've struggled deeply with mental health issues since a very young age and been through situations where I've contemplated no longer being here before. So I have thought long and hard about, like, why am I here and what is the purpose? And even when I was switching career paths, the thought was like, I just want to be happy and fulfilled and all of these things. And I often have conversations with people who are like, you really prioritize family and you prioritize your health and you prioritize just like really being present. Why do you not sit down at your desk, and just head to the computer, work 24/7? And it's like, because that's not the purpose of life.
No, yeah.
The purpose of life is not let me make more money. The purpose of life is not let me try harder at this thing that, I want to achieve or, dig my heels in and learn. The purpose of life is to live it and experience it and feel fulfilled in every moment you're having, right? And so for me, someone who struggles with a lot of anxiety at times, the thing that's helped me the most with life and just feeling grounded, being here, is to be present in every single moment and get the lesson out of that exchange, whatever that exchange is. And then what happens is wherever I go and whoever I talk to, I don't feel out of place. I don't feel like I don't belong. I don't feel like I should be somewhere else because there's something in every exchange for me. And so if I don't stay connected to that thought process of everything is for me, it's teaching me something about me to be a better me, whatever that is, then, I'm going to go down a very dark rabbit hole. That's not going to be good for me. So I think everybody has their own purpose of life, but for me, it's to just become a more fulfilled, better version of who I am in this very moment.
Yeah, that's great. I was just telling somebody yesterday, I'm doing a Bible study. I don't know if it was that on Monday night, But for all the religions I've studied, that if you actually sift through everything, that to me is the underlying thing is presence, being present in the moment. Because then you can't express love if you're not in the. You can't if you're 90% here, 10% there. It's going to be scattered. It's not going to be pure. That energy of love, which is where we create from. But it's really cool that you say that because I do think that's the foundation of every what they try to teach you, even if the character changes, the story, whether it's the Bible or Quran or whatever it is, that's what they are after.
Because if you think about it, when you read those quotes online, right? When somebody gets old and they're about to pass and they're on their deathbed and you ask them the meaning of life, what do they always say, right? It's not money, it's
No.
not this, it's not that. And it kind of puts it in perspective. And I think I'm not special. A lot of people struggle with their mental health, but to put those two together, by the way, it's just, I'm sorry, funny. But when you go to dark places or you've been through dark things, I think personally I'm grateful for it. Like
Yeah.
I don't feel ashamed of the things I've been through because I think it's given me an outlook on myself and life and relationships that's uniquely different and more fulfilling than people who maybe had it a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like now I watch it within my family, right? Like I've experienced a lot of death in my life with loved ones. And I'm grateful for that. A lot of people are like, "Oh, that's sad. You don't have any grandparents anymore." I'm like, "No, I talk to them. It's fine." Like I am grateful because it allows me with the people that are still here to prioritize showing up, sitting with them, looking them in the eye, putting the phone down and having a conversation because when they're not here, which that's guaranteed, I will feel like I got the most out of that relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's such a different way than most people think about stuff. Where like we're all gonna die, and when it comes, it's just like people don't want to face that reality. I think they hide from it a lot. I think that's people's number one fear with public speaking, the fear of death. But when you approach it like that, that all these things are going to come to an end.
Yeah.
Every relationship we have is going to come to an end. It doesn't matter, and then just be in that moment. And it is. You got to catch yourself. Like I have to catch myself. I'm not speaking for you. But there's times with the kids where it's like focused on this, this, and this. It's like, man, look what I got right in front of me, though. And it's, it's just going to be gone.
Yeah.
And either this stage will die. So I believe that too. Right, there's different stages of life die. We go from high school to college. I remember when that happened. I wanted to go back to high school so bad. I was so like homesick.
Really?
And I had such a great like friend circle and all that stuff, but then really kind of hit me in the head. And the same thing after college, and then before me and Devon met, going from single life to being engaged, all these parts die. And I think if you can, for me, that helps as far as realizing that hey, that phase of my life is done. It's time to move on, and you can't go back. And I think a lot of people get caught in that. I think that's and you maybe this will be a good hypothetical. This will lead right into a hypothetical I wanted to ask you about. Like I see it with a lot of guys because I experienced this with Devon when we met. And I'd try to break up with her like 10 months. I think it was like 10 months into it.
I remember this
So
story.
yeah, you know the story. And I was being tempted by my traditional pattern as far as what type of woman I would go after. And she was this girl was coming in, me and Devon are dating. And I was never, never any funny business besides the social piece with this girl. And we both were attracted to each other. But, with Devon, she really put her foot down at that point. I think it was, we got back together and then I was planning on breaking up with her again. I was like, we'll get through the holidays. And then,
I'm going to sit on my hands so I don't hit you.
make it easier for her, right? But I remember she told me around Thanksgiving, so we're kind of together at that point. She's like, I'm not playing this game. You're either with me. Because at that point, I was getting...
Good for her.
Yeah, she put her foot down. I respected that. And then we went up there to the Callicoon House.
Yeah. Up
in New York State, which was an awesome place. It was on 80 acres. And we went with my brothers, their wives. At the time, one of them had a girlfriend, Reese, and then another friend and his wife. And we're up there for New Year's Eve weekend. And something just clicked, we just looked at Devon. I'm like, she loves me, and it just hit me like, phew. It's like, what are you doing? But that where I was really going with that was that, you don't really have time sometimes to come to peace with, okay, I met this girl. Now it's going fast. Now we're engaged. Now that part of me's dead. And I think that's where a lot of guys get into trouble in some relationships when they think they fell out of love or whatever it is, or they don't realize it's not really about the physical attraction that's going to wear off. So with that, like with some of the guys that I do mind map coaching with, sometimes it's, hey, my wife is telling me she wants to leave me. So when you get that type of situation and she's finding all these faults, let's say the guy comes to you, what would be your advice? Like, can it be repaired? What should he be doing to try to heal that?
I mean, usually when it gets to that point, she's been saying these things and he hasn't been hearing them. Or she's been saying them in ways where he can't hear them. You know what I mean? Because people are poor communicators.
Yeah.
Because it's not always what we're arguing about or what we're upset about on the surface. That is the issue. It's always a deeper rooted thing. And it's usually an unmet need. And I want to be reminded that you love me. I want to be reassured that you care. I want to know you're attracted to me. Like, we have these needs that need to be met, right? So, number one, to answer the first question, I'm a big proponent that anything can be repaired as long as both individuals want to repair it. So, if he wants to repair it and she's resistant, that's where I would say the next step is to sit down and have a really honest conversation about what is beneath these issues, right? Like, what is it that you're really saying? Are you saying, I don't have enough quality time with you? Are you saying you're not present when you're with me? So you think you're spending time with me. Like, I'm like this. Quality time is high up on my love language. So sitting next to me on the couch and watching TV can feel like quality time, but that might not always meet my need. Because for me, it's look me in the eye with no distractions and let's connect, And sometimes people get mad because I'm a very direct communicator. I prefer that. A lot of people aren't like that, And so in relationships, that's usually the issue, is that we're kind of hinting that there's a problem, or we're hinting we have a need, and we're not facing the person and getting really honest with ourselves and saying, hey, I feel neglected right now. Could you put down the distractions and spend time with me? Or I don't feel like you're attracted to me anymore. Why are we not prioritizing intimacy? Why are we not having sex? Like, whatever the issue is.
Yeah. No, that's the clear communication. I think that's the whole key.
Huge.
With it, me and Devon go through that, at times, and it's funny because you said like the different, not even the love languages, but how we communicate. Sometimes she wants me to just pick up on it, where I'm like,
but that's Devon.
Yeah, and where I'm like, just tell me what it is, and then
she's getting better.
She's getting better.
She's getting a lot better. But Devon has always been a hinter.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are Phil's a hinter.
Yeah.
And I will look him dead in the eye and make him very uncomfortable and go, just tell me what you want. And he's like, I shouldn't have to. That's an excuse. Could you just tell me? Like, if you ask me directly, I'll give it to you. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's a non-issue. We get insecure about claiming our needs. That's huge within relationships. If you're insecure about what you actually need and speaking up about what you need, you're going to revert to patterns of behavior like that. You're going to get scared someone's going to judge it. You're going to get scared it's not going to get met, or you're going to get rejected. So if you're not, like, the reality is, I'm going to meet all my own needs, but I don't have to. I have a partner. You know what I mean? Like, I can keep the whole apartment clean. I lived by myself. I know how to do that. I don't have to do that now. So I go to him and I say, hey, you do this and I'll do this, right? So that's what we miss in these relationships, is like, if I don't want to talk to my teammate, I always use the metaphor of, like, explain a soccer game to my clients. And I go, there's not one player on the field. Like, and if you've got a whole team of players and you're with the ball and you're heading towards the goal, like, don't you think it's going to be a lot easier to score that goal if you pass it to somebody else and maybe they pass it back and assist you? You're a team. You can't do that single. I mean, you could try.
Yeah.
It's just when you've got 5 other players coming back at you and stealing the ball, it's not really fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great analogy. I think do you use them a lot when you're coaching, analogies?
Yeah.
Yeah, I found them to
Yeah.
be real helpful. The visuals and all that. How about spirituality? What are your beliefs?
What about?
Like, when I say spirituality, what comes to mind? What do you think? Are we
I
spiritual
mean,
beings?
I believe in something bigger than myself, and everybody's got a different word that they put to it, right? God, the universe,
Yeah.
whatever word you subscribe to, and that's the way I kind of talk about it to people, because I have people of all different backgrounds and belief systems and religions who work with me. Um, but I believe in something much bigger than myself. Otherwise, life really wouldn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens in life wouldn't make sense to me. Like, I feel like my belief system is that there's a God, and that God is in us each
Mm-hmm. The
and
creator.
in the world.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say I necessarily subscribe to a specific religion per se, but I would say there's components of all religions that kind of like, are similar to each other, and the gist of it is that we are all connected,
Yeah.
and we are connected by this one energy source that we know as love.
Yeah.
And we're all here to kind of help each other and learn from each other and work through things together and support each other, and that's on a very basic level. That is what I believe.
That's great. Yeah, the creator within. I think it's with religions. I think you got to be careful, just because there's an authority. As soon as an authority, organization is established, they're telling you what they want you to. Like in the Bible,
Yeah.
people don't know there's a whole book that's been omitted that talks about reincarnation. So why do they not want you to know that, right? Why do they want to withhold that? There's like a lot of cool things with studying religion, but then it's okay. What's the message we've been told? But
Well, you need discernment, I feel,
yeah,
in everything you read and listen to. And I don't think a lot of people have that, which, like, I have a lot of clients that come from abusive religious upbringings. So, they've been taught that there's a God, and if you don't obey God, and I don't love the word obey,
mm-hmm.
when you come from an abusive upbringing like myself in different ways, then obedience is not necessarily something that I love to subscribe to.
Sure.
I'd rather go in the opposite direction. Like, if you tell me to do something, I will deliberately do it a different way
challenge
and prove you wrong.
Yeah.
So like but speaking of the Bible, like, I believe that the Bible is pretty metaphorical
Yeah.
for life, and when you think of heaven and hell, for me, that's within us.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily I don't know, because I'm not dead yet, a destination, but who knows?
They're saying, I think I might have read it in Deepak Chopra or Wayne Dyer, but it was or maybe it's a Buddhist saying, but heaven and hell is less than a quarter of an inch apart. Right.
In here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think, like, along that line, when we die, do you have any thoughts of what happens to the spirit? What?
Try not to think that far ahead.
You don't think about that stuff?
No, I mean, I think like, if I'm keeping it real personally, I'm sure that I'm going to go somewhere and do something. What? I don't know. If I have a preference, I've thought long and hard about this. I want to be a cloud.
Oh, yeah?
Wait. I don't want to be an animal if I'm going to come back as anything, because that's going to die
So it's
again.
like reincarnate, yeah.
I don't want to be another person, because I'm good with the life that I've lived. I want to be an inanimate object, or like something that's not going to change form or whatever. And like, I just feel like a nice fluffy cloud in the sky is like safe and innocent enough. Like, I can't nothing bad can happen to me if I come back.
Well, I think that's, even if you're thinking about that, I wonder if deeper in your brain you're thinking about just staying in the spirit world, right?
It could be fun. I mean, I tell people all the time, if I die, I'm haunting your ass. So
Yeah. I have a buddy that called me yesterday, and he's had 2 incidents recently with spirits in his house. That's a whole nother thing, but that's it. And I think with the spirit stuff I've studied, and who knows if I'm right, but the spirit will keep evolving, and some people have to come back because they're still going through the evolution. And then once you get past where you can't learn anymore in the physical form, your spirit stays with God. You've kind of graduated. It's evolved to that.
See, I've heard this too. And like, I don't know, maybe I just don't think too heavily about it.
Yeah.
But I also, I nannied for a long time for a family who were psychics. And so, and also religious. So I know that kind of
Interesting
contradicts
combination.
for
Yeah.
people. But I was exposed to things like spirits and whatnot, like saw things while working in that house, heard things, were told things, taught things, that whole thing. So I think that I just don't dabble in it.
Yeah.
I just leave it where it is.
Yeah. I love to investigate that stuff, but I think it's because I was exposed. One of the kids, when we were growing up in Michigan, right after we moved to New Jersey, he died of a brain aneurysm. I was like 7. So he's around that age. But my mom told me. I remember I lost it, and for like 3-4 years after that, I was obsessed with death, and I couldn't get over that. I just think about it and the finality of it.
Obsessed or like intrigued by it?
More upset. I would cry every day because I would picture, okay, I'm gonna die, and I'm gonna be up there for 1 plus as many zeros as you can write on these walls forever.
Interesting.
Not thinking of the spiritual. I used to go outside when it would be foggy out at that age.
Yeah.
And stand there, like, this is what heaven feels like.
Really?
So I've been thinking about this stuff for a long time.
Well, I've thought about death equally as probably as much as you, but I will say death has never scared me.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say it fascinated me so much as I just had an acceptance of it.
Sure. Yeah.
So I'm not scared to die,
Yeah.
which scares
Scary.
people.
Yeah. Sure.
But I also, I'm more comfortable with people dying than animals dying.
Mm-hmm.
Did not handle my dog dying well at all. But when people die, even if it's prematurely, for some reason I can get to a place of acceptance much quicker.
Yeah.
My dog, different story. Never getting a dog again.
No, yeah, it was tough.
No.
It's connecting with that mammal brain, though. So there's a connection that happens with animals. They connect with us on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's pure unconditional love.
It is.
No
and judgment.
I believe everybody has their opinions about unconditional love with humans. I believe it's real. But with an animal, I mean, it's just completely different.
Yeah. Completely. Okay. We could go on that topic for a while, but we'll go on to the next. Self-development. What do you do for self-development, and what are you currently reading? Are you constantly focused on developing the self as far as learning or having coaches or things of that nature, seminars?
So a couple things. I read on subjects that I'm teaching on, and I fluctuate. So there's times where I go through spurts where I'm reading heavily, and then there's times where I'm like, I don't want anyone else's voice in my head because I need to create. And I don't want it to be convoluted with the way other people talk about these topics, if that makes sense. The things I'm reading right now are basically on trauma and the nervous system and things like that.
That's cool.
But I'm not actively eager to read a personal development book at the moment because I'm in the middle of creating a new course. And I'm like,
you don't want to be influenced.
Yeah,
So
no,
it's already in there.
I like to have my own experiences and my own voices in my head infused into what I'm doing, not somebody else's. And
I think that's good. You're aware that your creative process.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And then, I mean, the only other voice that I want to hear, because it's always going to point me back to myself, is when I go to therapy. And that just helps me, like I said earlier, kind of move through my own blocks and things like that.
Yeah. And you think about how much someone like you learns. So if you take the average person, how much more you are learning because you're self-aware. So they might go through a year and not connect any dots, where each day you could have this experience, the next thing you're doing, and you just keep connecting those. And that's really where the learning comes, right?
That's exactly where the learning comes. I don't really understand people who don't reflect multiple times a day.
It's crazy.
I don't get angry very often, but that's one thing where I'm like, what is wrong with you? Why?
Yeah.
How do you function? I can't function. I'll leave here today And I will sit down this evening and have a million thoughts and a million things that I've connected for myself and a million things to talk about just from this interaction.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so I don't need to, like, when people are like, oh, I don't socialize anymore because I'm not going to an office. I'm like, so?
Yeah.
Like, you can talk to somebody online. I could read one thing and have like so many ideas in my head.
Yeah.
And be completed and just like comforted with that being my interaction for
Yeah.
the day. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Most people are scared to be alone, I think,
Yeah.
with their thoughts, or like you're saying, most people don't want to go inward. It could be scary for some people. I think
they're scared what they're going to find.
Yeah.
Or hear or think.
Yeah.
I think the sooner you can get to a place in your life where you just accept you and everything that you think about and everything you feel and everything you struggle with, like if you've just got a level of self-acceptance where there is no judgment, then you're not going to be scared to explore that inner world.
Yeah.
Because Phil always compliments me. I'm the first person out of anyone in a room to acknowledge when I'm wrong, to acknowledge when I could have done something better. I'm the first one to take accountability. I don't even care if it's not my fault. I will find something in that moment
great attitude.
to reflect and go, it puts me in a place where I'm in control of myself. It allows me to grow from that interaction. I'm not someone who walks around and wants to blame other people for what happens. I lived a life like that. I was taught to live a life like that. It doesn't really get you far. So I think the sooner you can sit with yourself and go, all right, you know what? Like, I think some effed up things sometimes, and I don't like how it feels. And let me just get really real with myself about it. Then the better your life's going to be.
Yeah, it is. It's tough conversation. It's that inner dialogue, managing that all the time.
Yeah.
And I believe that's the whole key to us evolving, is trying to master your inner dialogue and be aware of it. And catch it. I have bad thoughts too all the time, but you got to catch them. But it's cool how you examine, but that shows you why you're a coach too.
Well, and it's funny because, I mean, as you know, like I was alone for a long time. This is probably the first really healthy relationship romantically that I've ever been in. He's the first person I've ever lived with outside of, roommates in college and my family. And I didn't realize some things about myself until we moved in together. And obviously now we're like 2 years in, but he will point out to me, sometimes, Amy, you're just talking and you're talking to me, but you're not actually talking to me. He's like, you're like processing things out loud. And it sounds like you're having a conversation or asking me a question. And then I respond to you and you get upset with me because you don't want me to respond to you. I'm like, I didn't realize I do that. I am in conversation with myself all day about what is happening inside of me all day.
Yeah.
And he will be like, could you just take a break? I don't know how to. Like, because this is just ongoing.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pause it. I have to channel it in different ways.
Yeah, and that's where the stuff's like maybe some of the meditations. But I think it's, we're all different too.
Yeah.
Right? Some people are just going to continually process and examine life, which I don't think there's anything wrong with.
No.
No,
but for him, it's,
it's different.
Work over here.
Yeah, I get it.
And then other stuff over here. For me, they are an extension of each other.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
I'm always going to, every single day, be reflecting on my relationship with you, Phil. And he's like, take a break. And I'm like,
well, it's you're coaching yourself, right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
It's a tendency.
Yeah.
How do you improve? It's all, I think that's the nature of a really great coach. You're always trying to coach yourself, and then you just teach it.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps you alive, though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Yeah.
If I stopped, I would just
go the other way.
Yeah, it's not good.
No. How about, you already kind of really talked about like what you do to recharge, because you're doing that on a daily, auto feedback type of thing, or biofeedback, which is really high level intuitiveness. Do you do anything like massage or
Every week?
Every week you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
People think I'm nuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Every week. I've done that for a couple of years. And I mean, for a couple of reasons. Number one, that is a space for me to just shut off everything else and be with myself. Whereas the minute I leave that room, again, I'm thinking, processing.
Yeah.
The way that, and I have the same massage therapist. I think you know this. Devon knows this. I have the same massage therapist. I've gone to her for years.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is basically my version of therapy.
Nice.
I talk through things there. She connects the physical stuff in my body to the emotional stuff
cool.
going on.
Yeah.
And so that's like my guidance. So she will tell me, oh, your neck pain represents this. And that connects to what you just said was going on in your relationship or going on in your business and da, 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 da. And then she'll just leave me with that information. So then she knows I'm going to go home. I'm going to reflect on that. And then I'm going to come up with more questions or, more ahas or more profound thoughts that I have about it. And so that work is weekly that I go. And if I can't go, like, we moved to Mexico last year for a month. I just did phone calls as if it was like a session that I would be having
with
a
the massage therapist.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Thinking
She
outside
is
the box.
trained to be able to understand kind of the somatic stuff that happens emotionally. And for me, that's a component of the work that I do with clients. So really, it's like education for me.
There's a book I haven't read yet, but I'm dying to read it. The Mind Body. It's about that because I love the psychosomatic stuff and all that.
Oh, well, then you also, have you read The Body Keeps the Score?
I believe I have.
Have you?
A while back, yeah.
Okay.
Is that along the lines of like TMS, tension myositis syndrome, like John Sarno's work? I feel like that's how I came across that book. Yeah, it's really neat stuff.
Yeah.
That's really, I would love to dive deeper into that next time we do this, like the psychosomatic, which you see.
I love that.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Most people are not aware enough to.
Well, so then to the other part of that question, Phil and I bought this program to do somatic exercises to release stored trauma from the body. And for me, it was really to help me release some type of emotional triggers that I was having. For him, I invited him in to do it with me. And they're just like 15 to 20 minutes every night. We do some stretches and some exercises together. And for him, it was more like he was doing it to join me, but also he has physical pain. He's had a knee injury and surgery before. He's got shoulder tension. And I don't think he fully understood or like subscribed to it, but he was doing it solely to support me. Well, probably like 14 days into this, because it was a 30-day program. Every day you did these exercises. 14 days in, he came to me and he was like, oh my God, you'll never believe this. He's like, my shoulder has just released out of nowhere. And I'm like, I knew this was good.
Then he bought in after that.
So it's really enjoyable. So that's like another, so some people obviously do all different types of courses and programs. These are the types that I do. Anything that's going to add some layer to the work that I do with people and allow me a little more insight because I've put myself through it is what I'm going to do.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Always challenging yourself.
Yeah.
Let me see how we're doing on time here. We'll do a quick, like 2-3 minute one. Last one we'll finish with. About, we've talked in the past about it, but when you did your first mushroom psychedelic trip, magic mushrooms, what was your experience and would you do it again?
I would absolutely do it again. I had a good experience. I would say there was a lot of giggling. And just like I said to you guys earlier while you were setting up, I was like laying on the bed, staring at the ceiling, thinking the ceiling was the carpet and asking Phil why the ceiling was the carpet, like weird things like that. But him and I did it together and, they tell you didn't do this, but they tell you should stay home. Of course you didn't do that.
Nope.
Be in a safe environment. Don't drive a car. So it was in our old place. So we had a fire going. Maybe not the best move, like hindsight, it was fine. But we had a fireplace going. We kind of we set the mood, right?
Yeah,
we had candles. We made the mushrooms into a tea.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
Drank it. And I had a good trip. He had a good trip. I would say I turned into probably a higher version of myself. Like I would fluctuate between like having the giggles and laughing and whatever to this stuff coming out
Yeah.
of me at him like you have secrets. That's what I was like. I was like, you have secrets. And he was like, I do. And I'm like, tell them to me. So, and I wasn't controlling
Yeah.
like that mechanism that was just coming out, which is really fascinating. Honestly, I didn't think too deep into it until I just said it, but it's fascinating because that's kind of what happens. And maybe for you too, when I'm coaching or when I'm podcasting, I'm not thinking about what I'm saying. Now, I
Yeah.
know that sounds bad, but the reality is like it's just like there's a part of me that knows what to say.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
so people come to me, I clearly don't know what they're going to show up and ask me. And it just comes out.
Yeah.
And it's the right thing. And from day one of doing my work in my business, I trusted that mechanism. And it was just like, I'm going to know how to do this. And if there's a part of me that feels like this is beyond my scope, I don't take it on. I just say, you need to go to this type of professional or this type of professional. If I welcome it in, then there's this piece of me that just knows I can handle it and I'm going to give you the right advice.
Yeah.
And that part of me definitely came out in that moment that I
Yeah.
was,
That's cool.
yeah. So it
Man.
was good. I mean,
Yeah.
I felt fine the next day. We came to
Yeah.
your
The estate. I remember.
thing, and I was fine. Phil got a little sick the next morning, and that probably subsided halfway through the day. But other than that, we would definitely together. I don't think I would ever do that by myself,
Yeah.
but I felt safe to do it with him, and I felt like it was a really great way to bond and connect. Little scary because I got trust issues. So I was a little bit like, what are you going to tell me?
Yeah.
But then I also simultaneously, I'm like, tell me your secrets.
Yeah.
So it was good. Overall, good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. All right. So to close out, first, what's the best way for people to follow you or get in touch with you?
So I hang out on Instagram all the time. So that's at Amy the Life Coach. I'm on TikTok at like Amy the Life Coach. I'm on Twitter at Amy the Life Coach. Those are like the main places I'm going to be. You could obviously find me on Facebook too. I think it's like Amy L. Fiedler or something on Facebook, but I'm not really on there. So Instagram.
Instagram. Yeah. That's you got a lot of good fans on Instagram.
Yeah, I'm at 112.
It's crazy. Because I think like 2 years ago, I thought it was a lot at that point. It was like, I remember when you were like 20,000 or 25,000.
20,000. Now I'm at 112,000.
Yeah.
And that's insane to me.
Yeah.
Because when it started to grow, I did this thing where I Googled stadiums in the US and I was like, find me a stadium with 40,000 people. And I'd pull up a stadium picture with 40,000 people. And I was like, oh shit, that's how many people are like listening to. And clearly not. I mean, they're there, but there's a small percentage that actually sees it. But still, mind blowing.
Yeah.
I don't have imposter syndrome, I would say, but there's a part of me that doesn't ever, and I think this might go for all of us, that doesn't fully grasp my impact or maybe my value at times for people.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's just me. I'm just talking. I'm not
I go through the same thing.
putting on a show,
Yeah.
So you're just kind of like, wow.
Well, that's why people are attracted to it.
Changing their life. Like I know I am.
Yeah.
But it's hard to kind of swallow sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's cool. And then last thing, what type of ideal client, like who's looking for, who do you want to attract into your world? Like who do you do the best with? Who do you typically?
So, I mean, we've transitioned a little bit. So right now, the individuals that come to me are ideally individuals who have been trying to cultivate healthy relationships in their life. That could be romantic, that could be with family, that could be friends. Usually they're individuals who have been through some type of trauma or abuse, even if that's childhood trauma, which is the majority of people. And they're wanting to learn healthier skills and tools like how to speak up for themselves, how to set boundaries, how to identify their triggers and cope and soothe and regulate their nervous system. So I'm not taking on as many one-on-one clients as I used to, but I do welcome you. You can apply at amyfiedler.com. I now am creating more courses. And so I have a course on boundary setting. It's a trauma-informed course on boundary setting. It'll give you a lot of really great tools and skills to communicate healthy, to advocate for yourself, feel respected, even if you're dealing with difficult people. So men, women, all people can apply and work with me or do my courses. But that's the ideal.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure. We definitely have a lot to go over next time. We got to do it sooner rather than later.
I'm happy to come back.
Yeah, no, that was great, Amy. And guys, you can follow me now. We're on Instagram at the Panda Man Official. So you can check me out over there. And thank you guys for tuning in. That was great, Amy.